Somewhere in a dungeon, our protagonist Lin Jinshin was battling against a mutated beast, but the beast was more stronger than him since he was sent flying by the beast with just a single hit. He couldn't believe that him, the #1 mage cultivator in the world, would be killed by a mutated beast, but before the beast could finish him off, he saw Gigi and Zihui. He was happy to see them since he was familiar with them, so he begged them to save him. The girl approached him and grabbed his hand. She said to him that she didn't expect him to really come and search for the Pisces pendant just because she asked him to. She called him a good man since he always satisfied her every need. She then forcefully took away his storage ring as his last gift to her. That way she would never forget how nice he was to her. Jinshin had no idea what she meant by that, but things became clear to him when the two of them started kissing and squishing one another right in front of him, breaking the poor boy's heart. Jinshin couldn't believe his eyes, and he thought he was dreaming. But it wasn't a dream since the girl decided to explain what her action and words meant. She told him that her and Zihui are in love with each other, and since he is nothing but an eyesore, they have come to send him off. At that moment, Jinshin was anguished. He couldn't believe that the people he treated like a family would end up betraying him. Jinshin finally succumbed to his injuries, but before his spirit could dissipate, something unexpected happened with the pendant on his neck. And the next thing that happened was him forcefully shutting down the alarm that was ringing, aggressively telling him to wake up since the sun is up. It's like he is already used to the alarm ringing that way. He had no idea where he was, but he came to realize that the place looks like his university's dormitory. He wondered why he was still alive since he was killed with a single slap by the torch dragon, the dungeon boss. But what surprised him the most was his missing ring and danchin. The danchin is the sea of key of every cultivator. He had no idea where everything disappeared to, but when he decided to check what year it was, he realized that he was reborn on the day before the start of the game 10 years ago, which was on the 7th of August 2040. He was so happy and excited, and he never expected to have such luck. But he came back to reality, and he was curious about how he was reborn. So he said to himself that there was a rumor in the 8 wastelands that the supreme divine artifact Pisces pendant from the strongest mutated beast in the Ascension realm, the torch dragon, is able to revive the player. He didn't expect the rumor to be true, but he deemed himself to be lucky since he kept the Pisces pendant on the neck instead of his storage ring, or else it would have been stolen by the fuckers who killed him. He have loved the girl Gigi for 10 years, but in the end she ended up with his most trusted brother. Not only that, they stole all his accumulated assets, elixirs, treasures, and even sent him to be killed by mutated beast. But now that the heavens didn't abandon him by giving him a chance to be reborn, he swore to make both of them taste the pain of betrayal in this life. Suddenly, while he was in a daze, he received a call from his friend whom he saved as crazy bitch on his phone. He picked the call, and the first thing he said to her was "Long time no see crazy bitch," but she replied back, "Long time no see my ass," since they both had mini hot pot together yesterday. It hadn't been long they last met. She then told him that she have something big to tell him since she have been thinking about it for a while, and he shouldn't be shocked by it. Jinshin knew what she was talking about because 10 years ago, which is today, the crazy bitch called him and told him that she saw Jijin kissing another man. At that time, he didn't believe it and even argued with her before cutting off all contacts. But now, he is happy to hear her voice again. He then apologized to her through the phone. She was surprised, so she asked him why he was apologizing out of the blue. Jinshin told her not to worry since he was just speaking with his emotions. She then told him to be mentally prepared with what she is about to tell him. She told him that she just saw Gigi, his girlfriend, kissing a man on the street, and she even climbed onto the man's sport car. This time around Jinshin didn't say anything much, but a simple word, "I understand." The girl was surprised since he didn't overreact, so she told him that she is not joking, and she is really serious about what she saw. Jinshin told her that he believed her, but there is something more important he has to tell her. She immediately tells him that she's a little scared, since he's way too calm for someone who got cheated on. So she asked him if he's okay, and she told him not to be too upset. Jinshin wasn't interested in the topic anymore, So he changed the topic by asking her if she have heard of the game, 8 Wastelands. She replied of course, she have heard of it since its advertisement is everywhere. Now, that makes explaining easier. Jinshin told her that he is thinking of being a professional player in the game. He said to himself that no one knows that the 8 Wastelands is definitely not an ordinary virtual reality game. The game will go viral across the globe, and in 5 years' time, the game will merge with reality. All the abilities, treasures, and even NPCs and bosses will all descend into reality. So the earlier you join the game, the faster you can get an advantage. The girl was surprised that he wants to become a professional esports player. So she asked him if he is serious about it, since it is said that the game is independently developed by ManhWA, a universal AI. But since she knows that he is good at playing games, she was sure that his future would be bright if he can really make a name for himself in the game. Jinshin replied that he is serious about it since he intends on moving out of his dormitory in 2 days, and he would rent a room to devote his entire self into the game. She never expected him to be able to think straight after discovering that his girlfriend was cheating on him. But upon seeing that he is alright, and she was worried for nothing, she congratulated him for his future success. And as she was about hanging up, he immediately shouted up, and he told her not to hang up. She was confused at first, so she asked him if there's something else that he wants to tell her. Jinshin shyly told her that the game needs equipment. He looked at his billing records and realized that he exceeded his withdrawal limit yesterday. But as he was about to ask her to borrow him some money, she immediately shouted out and told him no, since she is broke. She also told him that he should reap what he sowed, since he was the one who insisted on giving such an expensive birthday gift to Gigi yesterday. And with that she hung up the call. Jinshin couldn't do anything, but he wished to have been reborn a day earlier, before using his last cash to buy birthday gift for his ungrateful girlfriend. But to his surprise, he suddenly received a message from the crazy bitch. She sent him a sum of 10,000 yuans with a voice note telling him that the money is her gym membership fee for a few years, so he should remember to pay him back as soon as possible. Or else, she would use him as a sandbag for training if she can't go to the gym because of him. Jinshin recorded a voice note, and he told her not to worry, and he will definitely return her money. Just like that night reached, and there is 1 more seconds left for the server to be launched. He has been waiting and has been prepared for this moment. Immediately as midnight reached, the ring on his hand got activated, and with that he was able to log into the game successfully by placing it above his eyes and registering himself into the game system. The name of the game is 8 Wastelands, and is currently at the beta phase globally. After 10 years, Jinshin have finally returned to the place where dreams begin. Jinshin got transported to the beginners area where he saw other players being mesmerized by the AI ManhWA's beauty. Jinshin decided to deal with things carefully because the AI is the first level after entering the game. Although it looks simple, but it actually contains many hidden mechanisms, and while everyone was falling for the AI beauty, each of them wanting to make her their wives, Jinshin was disappointed at the idiots for having such improper thought about Lady ManhWA. Since they were so noisy, ManhWA decided to punish them by throwing them into an unknown portal. They never thought an NPC would get angry. No one knew what that portal was except for Jinshin. If their punishment is light, all the players who were disrespectful to Sister ManhWA would be put in confinement, otherwise they would have their attributes permanently lowered. But those who wished to earn Lady ManhWA's favor have to show enough sincerity. Jinshin then approached her politely. ManhWA was satisfied at such a decent mortal, so she asked him if he really wished to step onto the cultivation path and become an immortal. Jinshin replied yes. He told her that his name is Lin Jinshin, and he would like to request for her blessings to become an immortal. And just like that she decided to bestow upon him a good fate. Jinshin was happy since he would be receiving a new innate talent, because in his previous life, his talent business prodigy was kind of bad. Although it gives 10% discount when purchasing items in all stores in the city, but it became useless in the future. Although he had no idea what innate talent he would be receiving this time around. But if he is to receive a business prodigy talent again, then so be it, since innate talents aren't everything, because with his understanding of 8 Wastelands, even if the beginning is trash, there's still a chance of making a comeback. But to his surprise, he obtained a new innate talent called Alter Fate. The altar fate against heaven's will contains 3 talents. The first, which is born against heaven's will. The second, which is against heaven's law. And the third is luck against heaven's will. The born against heaven's will talent maxed out all his innate attributes. At the same time, for every death, innate attributes would also decrease by 10%. The second talent, which is against heaven's law, doubles all attributes after breaking through a realm. However, it would cause a catastrophe, and if he fails to overcome the heavenly tribulation, his soul would disappear. Finally, the third innate talent, which is luck against heaven's will. This talent grants him a random talent as an additional reward after breaking through a realm. At the same time, for every realm he break through, he must fulfill the heavenly grade condition. Jinshin was shocked at this broken talent of his. Even though the talent has its benefits, it's full of dangers as well. But the greater the risks, the better the rewards. Nua then told him to choose his own avatar since she have already bestowed a talent upon him. There were multiple avatars there, but Jinshin was quite selective, and he was scrolling through it. He said to himself that all the basic models might look the same, but in reality, there is massive difference in their attributes. After scrolling for some minutes, he finally found what he wanted. The avatar model he picked has the greatest charisma value in all of the basic models. In his previous life, he didn't have experience, and he intentionally chose a model with an afro because he was tired of being a handsome man in his entire life. But he only realized after entering the game that the better you look, the easier it is to gain the NPC's favor. But because of the afro, he was screwed over badly in his previous life. Since players with high charisma can get quests and get carried very easily, you might even have a chance of meeting NPCs who want to dual cultivate with you. So he decided to wash away his previous humiliation from his previous life by picking an handsome avatar. Nua then told him to choose the location to be reborn by giving him a map to pick a location. Did you guys notice how thick this Nua lady is? Jinshin went through the map. There are 4 lands in total that was shown to him: Yuehua, Yongning, Huafeng, and Mushan. These 4 lands correspond to one of the 4 main professions in 8 wastelands. Yongning is most suited for magic cultivation. Yuehua is most suited for medical cultivation. Mushan is for weapon cultivation. And Huafeng is most suited for body cultivation. Jinshin user info appeared in an organized form. His innate talent is alter fate. He doesn't belong to any sect, and he has no profession. His reputation is 0. Same goes for his cultivation. He is currently immortal. His innate core bone is 100, which is currently at the maximum level. Also his innate spirit is 100, which is full. Same goes for his innate comprehension. He also have a max innate charisma and innate luck. Core bones determines the limit of weapon and body cultivation, while spirit determines the limit of magic and medical cultivation. Comprehension can help in learning skills, while charisma affects the favorability of NPCs. He was really happy because this time, he have all his innate attributes maxed out at the start. As a result, if he continues cultivating, he would be able to become #1 magic cultivator in no time. But since magic cultivation is suitable for team battles, and it is not good against solo battles, he would be killed immediately. He suffered from it in his previous life. Besides, he chose magic cultivation because Gigi liked it. But this time, he decided to choose one that he liked. So he picked Mushan, which is suitable for weapon cultivation. He then said to himself that in this life, if he wants to become #1, he would have to face attacks from all sides. And sword cultivation, which has the highest single target damage, is not afraid of such. So he picked sword cultivation with the aim of becoming the strongest sword cultivator in this life. Ride the wind with the sword, and enjoy the world of martial arts. And just like that, he was teleported to Mushan Continent Beginner's Village. There were so many newbies there. Some were newbies who were looking for someone to carry them and farm levels, while some were looking for chicks who want to become a couple, and some were amazed at how realistic the game was. He felt nostalgic seeing so many people. Suddenly almost all the players went to surround an old man, because they thought he is an NPC giving missions. So they decided to talk to him and see if he have any hidden missions, but Jinshin wasn't among them. Instead, he laughed at them idiots since there is no way a hidden mission would be in such an obvious NPC. And while they are all fighting each other to get a mission from the old NPC, Jinshin decided to head to the sword sect. He wasn't in a hurry since he is already familiar with the route, but suddenly while he was walking a female NPC approached him. She addressed herself as Kui Niang, and she is the owner of a tailor shop in the village. Other players were all surprised and jealous since the NPC was talking to Jinshin on her own free will. She then told Jinshin that she can arrange a mission for him if he is in need of one. She moved closer to him, wrapped her hands around his shoulder, and she told him that she have been single ever since her husband died 5 years ago. So if he find the quest to be difficult, she can help to do it with him. Jinshin was speechless for a moment since he was impressed at how powerful the power of an innate maxed out charisma value was, since he never expected it to attract an NPC. And if he was to accept the mission and increase his favorability with the widow, he will probably be able to dual cultivate with her in a few days. Thinking about it, it's not a bad idea, but he came back to his senses because in this life, he just want to become the #1 sword cultivator. That's why he can't be obsessed with beauty right at the start. So he told her that he have other things to do, and he will definitely find her again to accept her mission if he get the chance. And just like that she agreed. But she told him to remember and accept the mission. Other players were surprised that he rejected a mission that they couldn't get even if they wanted to. Jinshin then left since he can't waste his time on such kind of side missions. Rather, the real opportunity at the beginner's village is at the rundown shop in front of him. When he arrived at the place, some players who were coming out of the building told him not to go in since there is just only a blacksmith inside and he can't speak. Maybe he's probably deaf. Jinshin thanked them for their reminders, and he said to them that he is just taking a look around. So he ended up going into the workshop, ignoring the players' advice. The players were quite pissed that he didn't listen to their advice, but they decided not to care about him. Instead, they decided to go and get their equipment because they heard that there's someone giving missions at the village entrance, and they deemed the blacksmith as deaf and a non-mission giving NPC. Little did they know that the man didn't have their time since he was so immersed in his craft. The man was worried that today's weapon isn't taking shape as usual. He didn't know the reason why. But Jinshin, who has a thorough idea of what was causing the weapon not to take shape, decided to make use of this opportunity to gain the blacksmith favor, since the bunch of ignorant players had no idea that the man is the most important NPC in the village. So he started to help the man hit the fire. At that moment, the man realized that the reason why his weapon aren't taking shape was because the temperature wasn't enough since the fire was too small, and Jinshin was the one who helped him to realize that. Just like that, he continued his crafting, and he was able to make the weapon take shape after some minutes of hammering. He was really happy and overjoyed. So he thanked Jinshin for helping him pull the bellows. He also added that his apprentice isn't around today, so the forge wasn't taken care. That explains why the fire wasn't big enough. So he decided to repay him for his help. He then told Jinshin to pick any weapons on the shelf. He will lend it to him for a day, but he have to return it to him after the day is over. Jinshin wasn't bothered about returning the weapon since he is an old player and he knows what would happen when he returns the weapon. But if it was beginner players, they would definitely find it too stingy and too lazy to continue a mission that would only reward them a weapon for a day, and they must return it that same day. He ended up picking an ordinary normal grade iron sword with the strength of 3. Immediately as Jinshin chose his weapon, the man told Jinshin that he would give him an opportunity if he can find him 10 venomous fangs from green pit vipers. Jinshin accepted the mission, which marks the beginning of his sword cultivation journey. At the same time, other players who were outside were shocked to see that he got a weapon from the blacksmith, so they politely asked him to tell them how he got the sword. Jinshin confidently lied to them by telling them that the blacksmith just broke up with his girlfriend and is heartbroken, so they have to sing a love song to him. And if he is touched by their singing, he would give them a weapon. When they realized that the mission was so simple, they decided to give it a try, and just like that they all started singing weird song to suit the man while Jinshin was enjoying the view from afar. Their actions really pissed off the man, so he told them to get lost. They had no idea what the man meant, and they thought he was giving them signal about the mission. but the man shouted, and he told them all to get out before he uses hammer to strike them down. They all ran out in different directions, and they realized that they have been played by Jinshin, so they decided to look for him in order to pay him back for deceiving them. But Jinshin was already long way gone into a bamboo forest to complete the mission given to him, which was to hunt down green pit vipers. While he was walking in the bush, he suddenly got attacked by a viper that was observing him ever since he entered the forest, but he reacted fast, and he took down the snake with a single swing. His cultivation increased by 3. He also received dropped item, normal grade green viper bow, normal grade viper sword, and normal grade snakeskin storage bag. He never expects so much equipment to drop from killing a few normal grade vipers, since 8 Wastelands equipment drop rate is extremely low. He was then wondering if it was because of his maxed out innate luck, but he didn't take it seriously, and he decided to go back to killing snakes since he wanted to see just how much equipment would drop. And just like that, he finished raiding the snake forest. He came out with a bag full of equipments. He really didn't think that apart from 10 venomous fangs, which was the mission given to him by the blacksmith, he would also get 100 plus poisonous arrows and many copper coins. And since he have earned so much from the trip, he decided to head back and submit the items. He arrived at the blacksmith shop and he submitted the 10 poisonous fangs that the man wanted. The man was satisfied, and he thanked him for bringing him such a decent quality fangs. So he gave Jinshin an envelope, which was the opportunity he was talking about earlier. Jinshin happily received it since the letter is the necessary item for joining the sword sect. He then asked the man who else has accepted the invitation mission. The man replied that he is the only one for now. Jinshin then left with the letter, and while others are out finding shitty missions and figuring out how to play the game, he decided not to waste time with the bunch of newbies, and his next plan was to become a disciple of the sword sect as soon as possible. But first, he went to the market to sell his equipment that he got after killing the snakes to the highest bidder. So he made an announcement that he would be selling the only green viper bow in the entire server to the highest bidder. He told the public that he wouldn't be selling it if it weren't for earning money to marry a wife. And just like that, all the players in the vicinity start bidding for it. The price rose from 1500 until there was a female player who bid 50,000 at once. She came together with her friends. No one knew who they are nor which guild they belong to. The lady then told Jinshin that she only pay by cash, and it would be transferred immediately to his account. Jinshin was satisfied with the price, but all of a sudden, before the deal could be closed, someone increased the bid to 60,000. The guy introduced himself as Wang Jinghao, and the president of Wanqi Guild. The guy said to himself that Jinshin must be no simple person to get a weapon right after the server is launched. So he decided to first show his generosity and slowly win him over, and that Jinshin would work for him sooner or later. The players never expected the president of Wanqi Guild to come in person. Even Jinshin never expected to meet him here, because in his previous life, upon reaching the top 10 of the leaderboards, the Wanqi Guild came to recruit him, but after rejecting them, the Wanqi Guild president held a grudge against him, and he suffered many losses. The guy then told Jinshin that since he is selling the item to earn money to marry a wife, he would pay for all the money he need to get married. You should take it as him making a new friend. But Jinshin politely told him that he does not need to do that, because a gentleman does not accept charity, and he is only willing to sell his item, and he hope he understands. Jinshin also regrets using marrying a wife as an excuse. Wang replied, "Of course I understand." He then told Jinshin that he must be someone with resolve and ability since he was able to get a weapon right at the start of the game. And since his guild happens to lack a bow, he would like to purchase it. But as he was about to take the bow from Jinshin, the lady increased the bid to 70,000. And just like that, the bidding were started, and the price increased all the way to 300,000. Jinshin was enjoying the battle, and he was wondering which guild the beautiful lady belonged to since she is not giving face to the guy at all. So he decided to make use of the opportunity to scam the guy. The price finally rose to 500,000. Wang was already in a tight spot, so he decided to use his guild name to threaten her. Other players were also surprised that she is able to spend such an hefty sum on beginner's equipment. They even deemed her background to be extraordinary since she was able to go against the young master of Wanqi Guild. The lady then said to him, "The highest bidder wins. And how is making an offer going against somebody? Or are you trying to say that others can't buy the things you want?" The guy was speechless, so he decided not to buy it. He never expected to run into such a character who was willing to spend such an hefty sum on beginner's equipment. But as he was about to leave, he was stopped by Jinshin. Jinshin said to him that he have long heard of the name of Wanchi Guild, and if he is willing to pay 500,000, he would sell the bow to him, and in exchange, he hoped to receive his support in the future. Wang asked Jinshin if he really meant what he said. Jinshin replied yes. The guy then decided to accept the bow, and he told Jinshin that if he faces any trouble in the future, the Wanchi Guild would definitely do their best to help. He then asked for Jinshin account number so that he would immediately transfer the money to him. Jinshin smiled in his mind, since his plan was to leave a good impression on him for now, and leech off him more in the future. As the guy was leaving, he told the lady that he won't hold a grudge against her since she is beautiful. But he hoped she learned her lesson after what happened. He also hoped that she would join his guild. Jinshin laughed at him for being so stupid for spending 500,000 in order not to shame himself. What made it worst is that he doesn't even know that he have been scammed. And yet, he is grateful to the person who scammed him. And he would come to realize after using the bow a few times that the poisonous arrows are limited. But the main thing is that he would use the bow to do a bunch of annoying beginner's mission and waste a lot of time. At the same time, the lady lashed out at him for not being true to his word. So she called Jinshin a dog, and a pathetic person that bows down to the powerful. She then left with her group members. Jinshin realized that he really angered them while trying to scam Wang, so he decided to find a way to repay them. He then came up with an idea to do so. Some hours later at the wild boar forest, the lady told her group members to split up. Each person should find and kill 2 small wild boars. And just like that, they all charged out to complete their mission. But to her surprise, Jinshin appeared behind her. She then asked him for the reason why he followed them all the way here. Jinshin replied by asking her if they can talk privately, and it would only take 2 minutes. The lady wasn't that much angry at him, because she thought that he might have been deceived by the reputation of Wanchi Guild, since she noticed that him and Wang Jinghao wasn't familiar with each other. So she decided to give him another chance, and give him some advice. Jinshin happily told her that he have top secret information, but it would cost her 500,000 for her to get the information. He also added that the information can help her guild get ahead of other players. She didn't believe his words, so she asked him for the reason why he didn't sell such an important piece of information to Wang Jinghao, since he was begging him earlier to support him. Also, it would be more beneficial for him if he was to sell it to him. Jinshin replied boastfully that Wang Jinghao is not worthy to support him, and he was just playing around with him since he is nobody with no money nor power, so he have no choice but to endure it to survive. Jinshin then said to himself that the enemy of his enemy is his friend, because seeing how the lady also hates Wang Jinghao, perhaps there's a chance for them to cooperate in the future. The lady was also quite skeptical since his attitude towards Wang Jinghao is changing a little too quickly. Jinshin then asked her if she want to buy it or not. He then showed her his account number, and once she make the payment he would give her the information since he is not a scammer. The lady was quite hesitant at first, but she wondered what if what he says is true, then it would be a missed opportunity if she didn't buy it, so she decided to buy the information by transferring the money immediately to his account. Jinshin was happy since he earned 1 million right after joining the game. Although money would become useless when the game becomes reality in the future, but he would have to rely on it to improve his future for now. Just immediately as he received the payment, he told the lady to stop killing the wild boars and accept the mission from the blacksmith. She immediately lashed out because she thought Jinshin was trying to deceive her by playing trick. Since everyone knows that the blacksmith don't give missions, she then wondered if Jinshin is someone sent by Wang Jinghao to scam her. If that's the case, she decided to make him die in the wild boar forest, and as she was about unsheathing her sword, Jinshin told her that she haven't gotten a mission from the blacksmith because her methods are wrong. So he told her that the method for receiving a mission from the blacksmith is to help him blow his bellows for 5 minutes while he is blacksmithing, and she would be able to receive the mission. But if she still have doubt about the authenticity of the information, she can let one of her subordinates try it. He also advised her to do it discreetly and not let others find out. Otherwise, the information would become worthless. He then told her that the mission isn't the main point, and the important part is the mission rewards. The lady knows that the letter is the sword sect invitation at first glance. Jinshin then told her that if she gets it, she will know where the sword sect is located, and he would get the chance to join the sect. He then told her that he have said whatever he needed to say, and what happens next is up to her. But as he was about to leave, she asked him for the reason why he sold such an important piece of information to her. Jinshin replied, "I don't know, maybe perhaps it's because you are quite sexy." The lady was quite moved by his sweet words. But that seductive moment was cut short since her group members who were being chased by a wild boar came running towards her direction. They shouted out that they are screwed since they seemed to have bumped into the boss. The lady was also surprised when she saw that the boar is larger than others, so she immediately told them all to retreat since they don't have enough people and they can't kill the boss with just them alone. But to their surprise, Jinshin stepped forward. He said to them that their luck is pretty good to bump into the largest boss in the beginner's village, and since all of them are going to abandon the boss, he would take it up to himself to defeat it. They were surprised when he said he is going to fight the wild boar king on his own. Jinshin came back to borrow her sword since he have just sold his bow. She immediately threw the sword to him, but she won't be helping him since he is the one who insisted on courting death. Jinshin thanked her, and he immediately unsheathed the sword. One of the girls was quite sad since he is just giving his life away like that. The other added that maybe he is showing off in front of their leader because he is thinking of hitting on her. Although the lady was blushing, but she told her to stop saying shit or else she would beat her. At the same time, at the other end, Jinshin was battling against the boar. He was having quite a difficult time battling against it because the weapon he is using isn't of high quality, and if he had known, he would have sold the bow a little later and used it to deal with the boar easily. No matter how many times he strikes, his damage aren't noteworthy since the boar's HP is not even dropping even after stabbing its weak point. He then came up with another strategy since there is no point in fighting it head on, so he decided to fight it with his brains. He came up with a plan, and the first thing he did was to run away. The girls thought he have given up. One of the girls laughed since the way Jinshin runs is so cute. She also added that he probably won't be able to escape. She have no idea how he was able to run, because if it was her, she would be scared to death. The lady sighed and said that no one told him to force himself, but fortunately, he's still a beginner, so it doesn't matter if he dies a few times and learns from it so that he won't brag anymore in the future. At the same time, Jinshin was almost at a dead end, but he used the wall in front of him and performed a tap wall stunt to escape the boar's charge. And just like that, the stupid boar charged towards the wall, and it lost a considerable amount of HP from the first impacts, and also from the rocks that fell down on it. The girls were surprised upon seeing the methods he used to hunt the boss monster. The boar was already weak and breathing heavily. Jinshin, who noticed this, decided that it's time to land the final hit. He charged out, and he launched multiple critical strikes to the boar. The enraged boar angrily charged forward to take Jinshin down. Jinshin was also cut off guard, since he never expected the boar to still have any strength left, but he was fast enough to dodge the attack. At the same time, he counterattacked, and he struck down the boar's horn, reducing his HP again. He then decided to land the final strike. He appeared on top of the boar, and he pierced his sword filled with ki directly into the boar's head. And just like that, he took down the boar. His cultivation reached 70, which is the ki refining stage. He immediately got a notification that his fate-altering talent has activated, and his innate talent, which is against heaven's law, has doubled his attributes. Jinshin was happy, because stepping into the ki refining stage means that he have officially become a cultivator. He really didn't expect his cultivation to increase so quickly, and it's all thanks to his luck to meet the wild boar king. He also got another message that his fate-altering talent has activated, and the talent born against heaven's will would grant him a random talent. Random talent was confirmed immediately, and he was giving the seed of vitality. It increased his vitality by 10%, and it can also be upgraded 3 times. Jinshin was more amazed at this random reward, because his health increased. The reward is very useful for a fragile person like him in the early stage, although his attributes were doubled due to his talent. But now, his vitality has increased by another 10%, and it is equivalent to cultivators in the early phases of the key refining stage having only 10,000 HP, while he have 20,000. He then received a congratulatory message for being the first to kill the boss of the beginner's village in 8 wastelands, and such an achievements would be broadcasted to the world. So he was asked if he wished to hide his name. Jinshin replied no, since there is no reason to hide it. His achievements was immediately broadcasted, showing his name, informing the players that he is the first to kill the boss monster in the beginner's village, and as a reward, he would be given 200 points of reputation and 1 point of innate luck. And to the rest of the players, they were advised to continue to work hard. Everyone was surprised that someone had already killed the boss, even though the game just started. They were then wondering which guild he belongs to since he's too strong. Some assumed that maybe he is from a major guild, and they must have used human wave attack tactic to accumulate damage, and he probably just dealt the final blow. At the same time, the lady couldn't believe that he really took down the boar by himself. Jinshin received multiple gold as a reward, including spiritual grade Crimson Cloud Sword, spiritual grade Illuminating Staff, and spiritual grade technique called Shadow Step. He already expected that many equipment would drop since he have a maxed luck value, but to his surprise, there was a sudden thunderstorm. He then received a message informing him that after 30 minutes the heavenly tribulation will descend, and he should please treat it with caution. Jinshin was surprised when he saw the message, and he immediately remembered that the side effect of alter fate has arrived. A heavenly tribulation would be summoned whenever he break through a stage, and if he fails to overcome it, his soul will disappear. So he decided to hurry up to the sect. Maybe an expert can save him. But as he was running, the lady approached him, and she asked if they can become friends so that he can sell equipments to her in the future. She assured him that she will offer a fair price. Jinshin immediately showed her his ID, and he told her to add him. He then wished her goodbye since he have something to do. The lady was surprised at how weird Jinshin was since she had no idea what it was that was so urgent that he is running away so fast. So she wondered if he is running, because he thinks they are scarier than the Wild Boar King. After some minutes of non-stop running, Jinshin finally arrived at the sect entrance. He was praying heavily that there should be an expert who will accept him as a disciple and help him to dispel the lighting tribulation. He then shouted out saying that disciple Lin Jinshin is here to seek a master. One of the disciple had no idea why he is running so fast. He thought maybe he is rushing to be reincarnated. But to their surprise, the sky suddenly changed, and they don't know what caused it since the sky was clear just now. The sect leader arrived. She asked them what's causing the commotion. The disciple all greeted the sect leader, who was looking thick and robust, with an enchanting figure capable of bringing the devil down on his knees. She told them that the weather change is a sign of heavenly tribulation. She then asked them if one of the direct disciple of an elder breakthrough, but no one knew the person was. All of a sudden, they heard someone shouting that a new disciple has entered the sect. That person was Jinshin. He shouted and begged all the great master to save him. The lighting was almost fully charged, but he was fast enough, and he showed the sect leader the letter. Because with his current abilities, he's definitely unable to withstand the power of the heavenly tribulation, so he can only pray that one of the masters in the sect would save him. And as the lighting was about to hit him, the sect leader intervened by creating a protection barrier around Jinshin, and just like that, the lighting stopped and the weather returned back to normal. Jinshin was happy that he was saved, or else, if he was to die from the heavenly tribulation, he would have restart the game and he would miss many opportunities. The elders were surprised that someone at the key refining stage attracted heavenly tribulation, and it is their first time that they have seen such in their life, so they deemed him as someone extraordinary. The female elder added that if he ended up becoming an elder in the future, then his master would earn a lot of respect. So they all charged out to recruit him since he is a genius. Elder Kiwei was the first to make him an offer to become his master, and she promised to definitely give him all the resources he need to cultivate. But Elder Kingsong disagreed. He told her that she is a female cultivator, and it's not convenient for her to teach a male disciple, and it's better for him to teach him. Elder Kiwei lashed out at Kingsong for trying to take a disciple that she wants when he already have so many disciples. At the same time, Jinshin was saying to himself that as expected, a master in the sect would really be able to help him dispel the heavenly tribulation. Not only that, he have even attracted so many elders seeking to accept him as a disciple. He was so excited since he have struck gold. But he decided to act a bit since he can't be overly eager and affect the elders' impression towards him. But to their surprise, the sect leader told them to stop, and she will accept him as her disciple. This came as a surprise to the elders, since they thought the sect leader doesn't accept disciples. But now, she made an exception to accept Jinshin. She then asked Jinshin if he is willing to become her direct disciple, and follow her into the inner hall to cultivate. Jinshin immediately received a message that he have triggered the greatest opportunity in Tianyan sect, and he was asked if he would like to accept the sect leader Leng Feiyan as his master. This is a rare opportunity, so of course, he would accept. He then bowed down and accept her as his master, and just like that, he was taken to the inner hall while holding his master's slender, white, and long leg. The sect leader then told Jinshin that the Sword Palace is the core area of Tianyan sect. It is quiet and free from external disturbances, and it would be the place he would be cultivating in the future. She also told him that in a while she will ask one of the disciples to give him the sect's newcomer package, and she will lead him to his residence. While she was about leaving, she told him to come meet her at dawn in the main hall tomorrow. Jinshin said to himself that the sect leader is really cold and distant. He then decided to lay low and train himself secretly and slowly. 1 hour later, Jinshin was sitting outside on the ground. He had no idea why the disciple that was supposed to guide him to his dorm haven't arrived. He then stood up to look for the room himself. He noticed that the inner hall of the sword sect has so many inner residences, so he wondered if there are any hidden missions in there. He also noticed how unique the residence was, so he decided to go in and take a look. He opened the first room, but to his surprise, it was the room of his sect leader. She was all naked taking her bath. What a beautiful sight indeed. Jinshin had no idea that it was his master's residence, so he immediately apologized, but she struck him down and she asked him who permitted him to come into her residence. Jinshin apologized, and he told her that the guiding disciple she have arranged for him didn't show up after a long time, so he accidentally entered her residence with the intention of familiarizing himself with the surroundings. He never expected to have such bad luck, so he hoped that it won't affect her favorability towards him. Seeing that he didn't come in intentionally, she decided not to punish him, but she told him that in the future, he should not enter the residence without her permission, since there won't be a next time. She then gave him a pill for his injuries. The pill is mystical grade violet jade pill. After consuming it, all his combat attributes would increase by 30 points for 5 minutes, and when not in combat, his stamina will recover by 3,000 points. He was surprised at how generous the sect leader was for casually throwing out a mythical grade pill. He then left the room, and he thanked her. He kept the pill in his pocket since he refused to eat such precious pill, so he decided to keep it for now. At the same time, the guiding disciple that his master arranged for him has finally arrived. The girl name is Nan Gongyu. She happily said to Jinshin, "Junior brother, come and greet your senior sister." Jinshin immediately greeted her, because she forced him to be in the sect, so automatically she is the senior. She was satisfied by Jinshin at how respectful he was. Her favorability increased by 10, and her current favorability is 10, which is currently at the casual stage. She then told him that her name is Nan Gongyu, and she have reached the final phases of crystallization stage, and he can come meet her if he have any problems in the future. Jinshin said to himself that it's surprising that her favorability increased by 10 immediately at their first meeting. Indeed, 8 Wastelands is a game that favors good appearances. He then said to her that he didn't expect her to be more beautiful than flowers, and have such high cultivation as well, and he is floored by her brilliance. The girl blushed, and she told him that she didn't expect him to be a bootlicker. Jinshin added that there is a saying that goes, "To improve your cultivation you cannot just rely on learning. So instead of working hard foolishly every day, it is better to kiss some ass." The girl laughed since she found what he said to be amusing. This also increased her favorability by 5, and her total favorability is 15. Jinshin was surprised that her favorability increased so quickly, and compared to his cold master, Gongyu seems to be easier to get along with. He said to himself that different favorability with different NPCs can trigger hidden missions and opportunities. 1 to 10 favorability is the same as being familiar with a person. 11 to 20 is casual. 21 to 30 is at the companion level, while 31 to 40 favorability is close to you. Also 41 to 50 is shared hearts, while 51 to 60 is intimate relationship, or through thick and thin. 61 to 70 is congenial love, or close like siblings. 71 to 80 is perfect unison, or absolute sincerity. And 81 to 90 is sworn everlasting love, or sworn brotherhood or sisterhood. The final favorability level 91 to 100 signifies until death do us part. Usually if the favorability of the opposite sex NPC reaches congenial love, there will be physical interactions, and when you reaches perfect unison, you can become Doa couples and begin dual cultivation mode. He immediately came back to his senses since it's hard to farm favorability with NPCs because in his previous life, there were many infatuated players who did not have a good ending. Suddenly, he started coughing out blood. Gongyu asked him what was wrong, and when did he get hurt. Jinshin said to himself that if he don't consume the pill that the sect leader gave him for his internal injury, it would be hard to recover in 1.5 hours. But since his injury is related to her, and since she has a high favorability towards him, he decided to use the chance to see if he can get some compensation. He cleaned the blood from his mouth, and he told her that it's not something serious, it is just that before she came to pick him up, he wanted to look for his residence, but he accidentally barged into the sect leader's residence, and he was accidentally injured by her. Gongyu was sad since his injuries was caused by her, so she was blaming herself. She then told him that although the sect leader did indeed assign her to bring him to his residence, but she was too engrossed in reading a romance novel, and she was held up. She then gave him a key replenishing pill. She told him to eat it quickly. Jinshin acted as if he was humble, and he took it with care, but in his mind, he was happy for getting another thing for free. She then said to him that it's her fault that he's injured by the sect leader, since she came late because of reading a romance novel. Jinshin humbly told her not to blame herself since it is his fault for walking around carelessly. The girl was touched by his word. She told Jinshin that he is a nice person because he still speak up for her even if he is injured. His words made her favorability towards him increased by 5. And her total favorability towards him is 20. She then decided to give him a jade pendant as compensation. The pendant is a spiritual grade spirit gathering jade pendant. It increases his defense by 10. It also increases his heart protection by 5, and when not in combat, 1% of mana is recovered every second. The pendant also has a skill, which is Spirit Shield. During battle, the skill forms a 0.55 mana shield to block a skill attack from an enemy below the crystallization stage, and it has a cooldown of 15 minutes. She threw the pendant on him, and she told him to keep it. Jinshin immediately acted humble by telling her that the jade pendant is an incredible item even amongst spiritual grade equipment, and the spiritual shield is very useful. She replied boastfully that the pendant is nothing to her since she has so many other treasures. She then told him that they should go to his residence since all the basic beginner equipment are there. Jinshin thanked her. He smiled, and he said to himself that it's a good thing he can act. Otherwise, he won't be able to get so many treasures just after entering the sect. That's why treating the NPCs in 8 Wastelands as if they are real humans with emotions is the right thing to do. But only a returner like him knows about it. Some minutes later, she brought him to the Earth Grade Spirit Gathering formation. She told him that he can absorb spiritual energy there much faster if he meditate and cultivate there. She said to him that she is envious of him because there is only a mystical grade gathering formation at her father's side. Jinshin said to himself that in ordinary circumstances, new players would find somewhere to meditate and cultivate when they go offline. But the increase in cultivation is very low. But he didn't expect his residence to have an Earth Grade Spirit Gathering formation. and it is specially arranged for him by his master. Gongyu then decided to leave since her mission is finally done. She then waved him goodbye and told him to work harder. Jinshin began his meditation. In the Earth Grade Spirit Gathering formation, his meditation speed increases by 52 points per hour. He was surprised at how terrifying the array was, since it's more than 10 times faster than normal at the key refining stage initial phase. And with his current speed, even if he is away from keyboard for 3 hours, his cultivation value at key refining stage initial phase would be maxed, and since his master would be coming at dawn tomorrow to see him, he decided to go offline since there is nothing to do at the moment. And just like that, he went offline. When he checked his phone, he saw that the deposit has been successfully deposited into his account. He was so excited since he earned 1.6+ million yuan in just 5 hours. And he can finally completely change his tragic fate in this current life. Some hours later, Jinshin's friend rode on her motorbike to come meet Jinshin. She was looking overly gorgeous and tasty. She arrived at Jinshin's house, and when Jinshin opened the door, she asked him for the reason why he called her over so early in the morning. Since she was preparing to go to the stadium for her morning run, Jinshin told her it's nothing. He just want her to see his newly rented apartment. She was surprised at his newly rented apartment, and she deemed it not bad. Jinshin replied, of course, it's not bad since it cost 4,000 to 6,000 per month, which is approximately $826. She then went behind him and said to him that he knows how to enjoy life. She also asked him, is this how you spent the gym membership fee that I give you? Jinshin replied, of course, since he have no way to pay her back, so it's better to spend it all as soon as possible so that she will forget about it. His word immediately triggered her madness, and she charged forward, sat on his laps, and grabbed him by the neck. She was pissed at how heartless he was since he dares to cheat her of her gym money, so she decided to smash him into a sandbag. But as Jinshin tried to calm her down in order to explain what really happened, he accidentally touched her boobs. There was silence in the room for a moment. She then lashed out at him again since he dared to take advantage of her. But while they were both arguing, they heard a knock on the door, and it was the delivery people who brought the gaming cockpit that Jinshin bought, and he was asked to open the door. Jinshin immediately told them to please wait for a moment. He then explained things to the girl. He told her that he have earned some money in game and bought her a gaming cockpit, so she should take it from him first, otherwise he would refund it immediately. Upon hearing that he bought it for her, she became soft immediately. She told him that there is no need to refund it since he have already bought it, so it won't make sense if he send it back. Jinshin then asked her if one gaming cockpit is enough to pay off her gym money. He also don't think it would fit in her school dormitory, and if he put it in her house, her dad will probably break it, so he advised her to put it at his place since he have reserved a room for her. She laughed since she was happy with it, and since it's the newest gaming cockpit, she decided to take photos and share it with her friends. Jinshin was surprised to see that her anger disappeared just like that. Sure enough, money can solve 99% of all problems. So he decided to quickly get back online and earn more money. He logged into the game, and in front of him is his master. She said to him, not bad. His qualities are indeed the best that she have seen since he have almost broken through in just a short few hours. Jinshin thanked her for her compliments. He told her that although his cultivation is fast, but he is now stuck in the key refining initial stage, and he is not sure how to break through. He said to himself that usually, a special elixir is needed to break through every phase. So he would first test the waters and see if his master has any elixir that can help him break through. Of course she does. She then brought out a pill. She told him that she have a high-quality key condensing pill, so he should take it, and he will break through to the intermediate phase. Jinshin happily thanked her. But she retracted her hand as he was about to take the elixir that only top sex have. She told him that although his talents may be very high, but he must understand that a truly strong person not only possesses a high cultivation realm, but also the experience of being through hundreds of battles. Jinshin understood, and he said to his master that what you meant to say is that flowers which are growing in a greenhouse are not suitable to tread on the path of cultivation, while massive trees that grows within a storm can gain eternal life. He was quite sad while saying it, since he have already discovered in his previous life that the game has extremely high level of freedom. Cultivation realm can be improved by purchasing equipment with money, but combat experience can only be gained through actual battle. The sect master was surprised, since it is hard for a person to have such an insight, and she never expected him to be more grounded than she imagined. This increased her favorability by 5 towards Jinshin, which is at the familiar level. Jinshin was happy for earning his first favorability from his master, and if he continues with it, it's not impossible to take down the master and make her fall in love with him. But he came back to his senses and stopped being delusional, because in this life, all he wants is to become the #1 sword cultivator, so there is no room for him to indulge in love. The sect master then told him to go to the sect mission area in the outer hall and choose a mission with key refining stage difficulty, and once the mission is completed, the spiritual pill will be his. Jinshin accepted the mission, but before he goes for his mission, she decided to teach him the Tianyan Heart Sutra, which is a heart technique learned by all disciples in Tianyan sword sect. Jinshin happily took the scroll and he thanked her. He said to himself that although it's a heart technique that is taught to all disciples, but the outer disciples have to complete missions to learn it, while he don't. Morning reached. Jinshin went to the Tianyan sword sect outer hall. He said to himself that it looks like many players have joined the sect. That makes sense. Although the sect invitation mission is hidden, but it can be discovered if you are sharp enough. And it probably won't be long before more and more people would join the sect. But it's fine since he have seized the opportunity and became a direct disciple. Suddenly, Wunling, the lady that he met earlier, called him from behind and waved at him. Jinshin was surprised that she actually joined the sword sect after buying the information from him. He was quite satisfied because the more friend he have, the more options he can get, and perhaps he can ask her for help in the future. Jinshin said to her, "What a coincidence that we both are in the same sect." She replied that she loves swords, so it would be natural that she chose the sword sect. He then left without saying much. He told her that he still have a mission to complete, so they should chat next time. She was a little disappointed because she haven't finished speaking, and he's already gone. The other girl said to her that Jinshin is so cold, and it would be very difficult for her to woo him. She immediately lashed out at her while blushing. She said to her, "Which eye of yours tells you that I am chasing after him?" The girl didn't stop laughing, and she said to her, "What a shame." Since she wanted to see a good show about a woman chasing after a guy, Wunling then told her not to delay any further, and they should go and complete their mission as soon as possible, since they need 3 merit points to exchange for the Tianyan Heart Sutra. The other girl complained at how hard it was to get points because ever since they joined the sect, they still need 3 more merit points after all the missions they have done. So she was asking what kind of person can get the Tianyan Heart Sutra, but little did they know that Jinshin got the Heart Sutra without any stress. And while he was reading the sutra, a lady at the mission board shouted out for the next person to come and check the mission. The lady told him to pick a mission. She also advised him to choose one that is within his capabilities. Jinshin went to the board and he picked up a mission. He said to himself that the simplest mission is to collect some mortal herbs, but apart from earning experience points, there's nothing else, and him doing it would be a waste of time. But the more advanced missions are slightly harder, but it's just hunting monsters that are at the key refining stage, and is not a great help in gaining combat experience. And while he was scanning through the missions, he noticed that there's a special plaque among the hell difficulty missions, and the mission is carried out in Feng City, so he immediately picked the mission since special mission can unlock special rewards, and since he have already learnt the Tianyan Heart Sutra, all his fighting attributes have been increased by 5%. So he decided to give the mission a try since he is familiar with Feng City. He immediately received a message from the system for the Hell mission. The mission was for him to help Tianyan Sword Sect find the lost secret technique. He was given a hint by the system which informed him that the mission difficulty is very high, so disciples of low realms should choose carefully. The mission description is that a key refining stage disciple of the sword sect, whose name is Zhang Hai, was killed outside, and the secret technique he had was stolen, so the mission was to avenge Zhang Hai and retrieve the lost secret technique. The mission reward is 100 lower grade spiritual stones, 100 sect merit points, 1 upper grade key condensing pill, 1 spiritual grade martial art skill, and hidden reward. The girl immediately asked him if he wants to reconsider the mission since it's very difficult because the person who killed Zhang Hai is likely at the key refining stage final phase, which is much higher than his realm. Furthermore, the sect prohibits disciples from choosing new missions if they have an incomplete one. Jinshin thanked her for her reminder, but he have decided to take the mission. The disciples were surprised that he was taking hell difficulty mission. Another disciple said maybe he was joking since the mission hint is written clearly and the opponent is at the key refining final phase, so there is no way he can complete it. Maybe he can complete it by giving away his life. He also added that putting aside the realm of the enemy, there's too few leads in the mission, so finding the killer is like searching for a needle in an ocean. As the saying goes, showing off gets you killed. So he told other disciples to wait and see Jinshin get slapped in the face with humiliation. And just like that night reached, somewhere in Feng City, Jinshin came to the place where the key to completing the mission is. Suddenly, even before he could get into the building, 3 sexy, beautiful, and bursty ladies came to take him inside since he is an immortal from the Tianyan sword sect, and immortals are highly respected. Jinshin entered the building, and in front of him is a man who is giving out the latest information of what is going on around. Jinshin knows the man from his previous life since the man is the intelligence merchant from 8 Wastelands. He said to himself that the man is just like the reporters in real life. He knows everything big and small in 8 Wastelands, and his job every day is to give the latest breaking news to everyone and earn money. And if he listens patiently, he will definitely find a clue for his mission. After telling so many news, the man finally said something related to Jinshin's mission. He said that a disciple at the key refining stage from Tianyan sword sect called Zhang Hai was killed while he was journeying, and his murderer is the key refining stage final phase rogue cultivator whose name is Zhou Hao, and he is a ruthless cultivator from the demonic path. Jinshin was happy since he finally got what he was looking for. After some minutes, when the man finished telling the news, Jinshin stopped him as he was about leaving. He told him that he wanted to purchase some information. Jinshin said to himself that most players would immediately head to the mission location upon receiving a lead, but he is familiar with the game's methods, so if he wants to get a more comprehensive clue, he would have to spend some money. The man whose name is Li Si told Jinshin that there's nothing he can't answer as long as money is involved. Jinshin didn't hesitate for a second and he threw the bag of money to him. He then asked the man about the location of Zhou Hao. The man replied saying that he can look for Zhou Hao in Feng City, since he is a leecher who often appears in the red district of Feng City. The man immediately told Jinshin that there's another piece of information which would be very important to him, but it depends on whether he is willing to pay 5 more spiritual stones. Jinshin replied no problem. He then brought another bag of money and gave it to him. The man then said to Jinshin, "Since you are generous, I will give you a reminder. Although Zhou Hao is just a rogue cultivator at the key refining final phase, he has a brother called Zhou Shen, and he is a foundation stage cultivator, so you must be careful." And just like that, the buying of information ended. At another scene in Feng City Autumn Moon Building, this is the den of prostitute and alcoholics, and the real target of Jinshin's mission. Zhou Hao came out of the building looking all drunk. He told 2 girls to wait patiently for him, and next time, he would have all of them queue up to pleasure him. Little did he know that Jinshin was already on his trail. After walking for some minutes in a narrow road in a forest, he realized that someone was following him, so he asked for the identity of the person. Jinshin replied, "I am someone who wants your life." The guy laughed, and he said to Jinshin, "It's surprising that a bastard at the key refining stage initial phase come to seek revenge, just because he is a disciple from Tianyan sword sect." He then said to Jinshin while charging out that it seems like he is tired of living, but before he could land a hit, Jinshin swiftly dodged his attack. The guy was surprised, but he quickly used his sword to counterattack by spinning, but Jinshin was still able to block the attack. They both almost lost their balance for a moment mid-air. The guy couldn't believe his eyes, so he asked Jinshin why he have such powerful strength despite him being at the key refining initial phase. Jinshin replied, "It's not that I am too powerful, It's that you are too weak. Jinshin said to himself that the plus 5% increase for all combat attributes after learning the Tianyan Heart Sutra is not a joke. The guy then activated Wild Saber Slash and he swung it directly at Jinshin. But Jinshin activated his spirit shield to block the attack. It is also the perfect time to try out the spirit gathering jade pendant that Gongyu gave him, and just like that he blocked off the attack without any scratch to his body. The guy said to Jinshin that he didn't expect him to have so many treasures. It looks like you are quite favored by the sect. He then asked Jinshin to hand over everything he have nicely, and he will spare his little life. Jinshin looked at him sarcastically, and he asked him who gave him the courage to tell him to hand over his stuff. The guy wasn't in the mood to talk, so he jumped forward to attack Jinshin, but Jinshin dodged every single one of his attacks. The guy couldn't believe his eyes. He decided not to drag the fight on any longer, otherwise he will be killed by Jinshin. He then retreated backwards. Jinshin saw an opportunity to attack, so he charged forward, and he landed a hit on the guy, reducing his HP by 90. The guy couldn't believe that one slash made him lose 90 health. The guy profession is saber cultivation. He have a health of 2550, strength of 32, mental power of 30, a defense of 28, and 36 speed. His equipment is a spiritual grade thunder saber. He possesses the saber technique called wind energy saber technique. Currently at the minor proficiency, his martial skill is wind saber slash, which is at the beginner's level, and his body technique is mist piercing charge, also at minor proficiency. Jinshin launched multiple slashes at him, which depleted his HP to more than half. Upon seeing the guy's stats, Jinshin realized that he is much stronger than the guy, because the guy's attributes at the key refining stage final phase are low, since his own base attributes are more higher than the guy's own, and all his skills and equipments are top-notch. The guy became defenseless and his saber has received multiple damages. Jinshin called him a weak chicken. He then told him to immediately hand over the secret technique of Tianyan sword sect. The guy immediately pleaded, and he told Jinshin that it is his fault for not recognizing his greatness. He surrendered, and he was willing to hand over the thing he want. But suddenly, there was a sneak attack. But Jinshin was fast enough to dodge it. Same goes for Zhou Hao. The person who attacked was Zhou Hao's brother. He told his brother to quickly save him, since he's been hunted. Zhou Hao then said to Jinshin that he's really unlucky to run into his brother, and he will definitely make him repay the scars he left on his body 100-fold. The guy is a rogue cultivator whose name is Zhou Shen, and is currently at the foundation stage. Jinshin didn't expect the foundation stage to be stronger than he thought. The guy lashed out at Zhou Hao, since he have told him before that things are tense these days, and to stay in the mountain, and not come out. But he refused to listen, and if he hadn't come back specially to look for him when he noticed that he's gone down the mountain, he would have died today. Zhou Hao apologized, and he promised to listen to him, and not go out again. But first, he have to avenge him since he was beaten so badly. The guy then told Jinshin that if he hand over the spirit shield, he will consider leaving his corpse intact, and let him die quickly. Otherwise, he will carve him up so badly that he'll wish he's dead. But Jinshin laughed, taking his words as nothing. The guy then told his brother to wait for him to eat some elixir and recover stamina so he would help him. But before he could take in the pill, he received a critical strike directly on his neck by Jinshin, and he was immediately taken down. The guy was so angry at Jinshin, but Jinshin didn't care. Rather, he said to him, "It looks like your brother doesn't know that villains die when they speak too much. Also, my target today has always been to kill the both of you and take away twice the loot. And now, it's your turn to die."